It is a busy time in Olympia as lawmakers look at proposals that would impact roads, schools, even how we recycle. Olympia Bureau Chief Drew Mickelson has the latest on some of the bills that might affect you, Drew.
Greetings, Christine, from the State House of Representatives. Yeah, we're getting close to those deadlines where bills start dying. We still have a couple of weeks to go. So right now we're at the point where everything is still being debated and discussed. Let's look at some of the hot bills we've been hearing the last week or so. Democrats are trying to find ways to improve the state's recycling rate. So there's a bill to establish a refund system when you recycle cans or bottles or plastic. You would have to pay a 10-cent fee when buying those bottles, but you would get that money back by recycling them. Opponents say the state should instead focus on improving curbside service. There's also still momentum behind that push to lower the state's threshold for determining when a driver is drunk from a BAC level of 0.08 to 0.05. Senators heard testimony from a national researcher on the topic this past Thursday. He said the move would save lives. But there's pushback from bars, restaurants, and the hospitality industries who say more enforcement is the solution. On Friday, a House bill to ban flavored vapes and tobacco pouches, as well as those menthol cigarettes, brought out a huge crowd for a House hearing. Health advocates say flavors like raspberry and Lucky Charms entice young people to start vaping or smoking. Legislators heard from several teens who blamed their nicotine addictions on those flavors. But the move has lots of critics, too, including retailers who say the ban would only hurt adults and their businesses.
I believe banning flavored nicotine products is essential. I started vaping when I was just 7 years old, and I've been addicted for nearly 10 years now. It feels almost impossible to stop. I started because I saw my older siblings vaping and talking about the fun flavors, so I wanted to try it. Flavors like blow pop and pina colada, along with vibrant colors, seem designed to attract kids.
There are roughly 3,500 convenience stores in Washington state, and most of those are minority owned and operated. Flavored products make up roughly 50% of our sales. And removing these products from the shelves simply pushes people to the unregulated market and or to other states.
There's flavors like strawberry banana, pina colada. All these fruity flavors are a big part of why the youth is getting dragged into it. I developed a serious addiction from it, and I'm currently still struggling to overcome my addiction of nicotine. And today, even third graders are vaping.
African Americans have been the predominant consumers of menthol cigarettes. These bans, through aimed at improving public health, overlook their disproportionate impact in our community.
So, Drew, you covered a bill that would change the way drivers who get in chases with police are dealt with. We've heard so much about pursuits lately. What would this law do?
Well, law enforcement is still happy about the action taken here last year when the restrictions on police pursuits was pretty much thrown out of state law. But now law enforcement says more work needs to be done when they arrest the people who were involved in the chases. They want them held accountable.
Driver, exit the vehicle.
This car theft suspect pulled over last Saturday. He's on a first-name basis with Thurston County deputies.
Exit the car with your hands up, Marcus.
Deputies say the driver, Marcus Stevens, led them on a chase topping 100 miles an hour on I-5 south of Olympia. When deputies finally stopped him, they say he got out and started drinking from a bottle of vodka.
Very brazen. And of course at the end, taking a pound of the vodka at the end, just kind of cherry on top of, I don't really care about the criminal justice system, and I'll be out tomorrow to do this again kind of thing.
Deputies also arrested Stevens last October following a high-speed chase in a different stolen car. In both cases, Stevens was held on $25,000 bail. Not nearly enough, says Thurston County Sheriff Derek Sanders.
I'm trying to figure out what would incentivize people to not do these things if it kind of feels like it's encouraged.
One of my dear friends is a police officer. He's like, why? Why do I go to all that effort to do that? It makes you not want to risk your life anymore.
State Representative Lauren Davis has proposed a law to change the way judges deal with suspects involved in chases.
Copy, the vehicle's all over the road.
In 2023, Thurston County deputies arrested a different man, an 18-year-old, following a chase.
I got a honey bucket that's locked here.
He hid in a porta potty. In that case, a judge checked a box saying there exists a substantial danger that the defendant will commit a violent crime. But the suspect was released without having to post any bail and without any explanation from the judge in the paperwork. Under the proposal, those arrested in chases could face higher bail amounts, and judges would have to explain in writing if the defendants are held on lower than requested bail amounts or on no bail at all.
A judge just orders the amount of bail. They order no bail, and that is the end of the story. They don't have to explain the voice in their head that told them to tilt a particular way.
Representative Davis says judges don't typically like it when legislators tell them what to do on the bench. We will hear from some of those judges when that bill has a hearing tomorrow morning. Christine?
All right, Drew. So another bill that you're following, some high schoolers are getting involved in the lawmaking process. Could you explain that bill for us?
Yeah, this one was pretty cool. We've profiled a couple of these classes who come forward and bring initiatives that legislators don't even know about. This bill would impact every liquor license holder. You would have to offer drink test strips to all of your customers. And this comes from a group of voters, or some of them aren't even old enough to vote, and none of them are old enough to drink.
Many of you might be asking yourself, why now? But you really should be asking yourself, why haven't we?
Lake Washington High School's AP government class Monday,
as young females, this is something that's really important to all of us,
took place in a Washington State Senate hearing room.
As a group of young women entering college, we are scared for our future.
16 seniors, all young women, brought the idea to their state senator, Manka Dhingra.
This is really not meant to be onerous, but really meant to be a partnership to make sure all the patrons are safe.
Under the proposed law, all businesses with liquor licenses would need to have drug testing devices available to customers who want to see if their drinks have been spiked. The establishments would need to have signs posted designed by the students, letting customers know the resources available. The girls who initiated the bill say the tests would help prevent rapes.
These substances lower sexual inhibition and increase the risk of assault. Their side effects include impaired judgment, confusion, amnesia, unconsciousness, and more.
The state's Hospitality Association testified the law should only apply to nightclubs. The students say they'd be open to compromise, a traditional part of the lawmaking process.
Well, a couple summers ago, I came and I just toured the Capitol for part of my summer camp. And I never thought I would be back here in the Senate working on a bill that would actually affect people.
This is much more than a school project for the students. The law would go into effect in January when they'll be freshmen in college.
There is this culture that we are about to enter next year that I don't know if we're ready for, but we need to take a step to prepare for it because it does exist. And if we just sit back, nothing changes if nothing changes. So this is the first step.
So finally, Drew, we keep hearing about this budget deficit, $12 billion over the next 4 years. How are lawmakers tackling this?
Sounds like a lot of the work's happening behind the scenes. So publicly, we haven't heard any formal proposals, but you talk to leadership here in the House and Senate, the Democrats who run this place. They still think taxes will be needed this session. Maybe it won't be a huge new tax, but maybe it will be because they don't want to rely on cuts. But incoming Governor Bob Ferguson says that should be the last resort. He has asked all the state agencies to come up with potential cuts, and we're expecting to see what some of those might look and feel like here at the end of this week.
All right. Thank you very much, Drew, as always. And for in-depth coverage throughout the legislative session, you can head over to our free streaming app, King 5 Plus. Right now on the app, you can find extended versions of Drew's in-session reports available for streaming.